Hi everyone, so welcome back to our YouTube channel. So today we will continue our chapter 2, and this is the last leg, the last video of this chapter 2, Theory of Consumer Behavior. Right. I know it's been a very long chapter, and because it delves a lot into the demand side of the economy. So we understand different aspects of demand. We understand the how what are the factors that affect the demand. Uh, so Right now, we are at the last end, the last topic, and there we will understand the elasticity of demand, right? So, what do we understand with the term elasticity? What do we understand? The elasticity refers to the responsiveness of quantity demanded with respect to change in price. All right. So, what is the responsiveness of quantity demanded with respect to change in price? Now, let's understand. See, we know that the price and the quantity demanded has an inverse relation. So, as the price of a good increases, the quantity demanded tends to fall, right? But there are certain goods for which there is the impact of price change will not be much higher. And for some goods, the same, or I would say that in change in the price of a good will have a very large impact on the quantity demanded. So we want to understand that the which like for example, we want to understand that how much change in the quantity demanded or how much percentage change if there's a percentage change in the quantity demanded if there, with respect to a change percentage change in the price. So let's understand first with the help of an example. So we know that um, what we know that like just I'm just taking an example. Let's say milk. The price of milk, the price of milk has let's say it was earlier 50 rupees. Now it has increased to 52 rupees, let's say, right? Or 55 rupees. Okay. You might have also seen that in recent times, due to the increasing petrol prices, the prices of many products have risen, especially the dairy products. The prices has already rise, right? So, do you think that will impact the quantity demanded much? No. Why? Because the quantity demand will not be much higher, not much higher. The much higher change, or we would say it won't change. Almost there will be no change, right? The reason is that the milk is a because if we don't have any alternatives to milk, it is a necessity good, right? However, on the other hand, it's a necessity good. So this is the first example. However, on the other hand, we also see due to the rise in the recent example, we see the recent rise in gold prices lead to the rise in jewelry prices as well, right? And do you see that there is a large decline in the demand of gold jewelry? Why so? Because people can, like, they can live without gold jewelry. However, milk is a considered a necessity, which is required, like, which they need it every day. Gold jewelry, they need it once in a while, whenever they go out for in weddings, in functions, or for an investment purpose also. However, the consumers, or I would say the people, they can they have alternatives available for the gold jewelry. They can go for all artificial jewelry as well. They can go for um, like there are certain in the market we have different like, just look alike gold. Like we have artificial, we have other forms of jewelry as well. So in this way, we say that the impact of change in the price is very high, right? The people will demand very less gold jewelry. And um, similarly, however, in the case of milk or any other necessary products, the quantity demanded, the impact of quantity demanded will not be much high, right? So I hope this is more clear. We will come back to it again. Just before that, let's understand the elasticity of demand with the help of a formula. So, what does elasticity of demand says? It says that percentage change in the quantity demanded upon percentage change in price of a good. All right. So, Um, for example, I just mentioned with the help of mathematical notation also. So the numerator says that del Q, percentage change in quantity demanded, we can write it down as del Q upon Q into 100. And in denominator, we have del P upon P into 100. Okay. We can just rearrange them with, because 100 got cancelled, and now we are left with del Q on Q into P on del P. All right. Now del Q on Q into P on del P. So we have this elasticity of demand. So basically, I'm just taking an example first. Then we will go again, talk about the absolute value. Okay. Yes. So let's take an example. The price of, let's say, bananas. Okay. So the price of original price, earlier the price of bananas was 50 rupees, and the quantity demanded of bananas is, let's say, 10. And the new price of bananas are is 60 rupees. And the new quantity demanded is, because there's a chain increase in the price, it is like the quantity demanded is 8. So I want to know the elasticity of the bananas, the demand for bananas is del Q on Q into P on del P, right? So what is del Q? Del Q is the quantity change, that is 8 minus 10. And I can also, which is the original quantity, into P is the original price, 50, and change in price is 60 minus 50. So it comes out as minus 2 on 10 into 50 upon 10. So it comes out as minus 1. Okay, here it turns out as minus 1. Okay, so surprisingly, it comes out as minus 1. But yeah, so here, if we say, how do we represent, like, how do we interpret this elasticity of demand? So elasticity of demand coming out as minus 1. So it says that the good banana or banana is inelastic. What is it? It is inelastic. That means that the increase in the banana, the percentage change increase in bananas has not impacted the quantity demanded, has equally, it has not impacted more, or it has not impacted very less. So the quantity of bananas is minus 2 upon 10. We have done it very correct. Okay, is inelastic. So just I'll give you a general case that if the absolute value of elasticity of demand, if it is less than 1, we would say it is the inelastic, correct? And if the elasticity of demand is greater than 1, we would say it is an elastic demand. And if elasticity of demand is 1, we call it perfectly elastic. So just my mistake. It is the when the perfectly when the person the when the elasticity of demand is one, it is not perfectly elastic, it is unit elastic. Okay. So I'll just change it and okay. This is unit elastic. All right. Now, so in this case, this is not inelastic, this is unit elastic. Okay. Because it is the absolute value of elasticity of demand is one. Right. So, and if elasticity of demand is zero, we will come out with these cases, and there's another case also infinity. Right. We will understand with the help of a diagram. Now, what do we mean by unit elastic? It means that the percentage change in the quantity demanded, it is one. It is turned out one, right? What does it mean? That percentage change in quantity demanded is equal to percentage change in the price of good. That means the 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 percentage change that happens in the price of a good is same as the percentage change in the quantity demanded. All right. So anyways, this is called unit elastic. And however, if the elasticity of demand is greater than one, we call the elastic demand. For which goods we can see elastic demand? For example, the luxury goods, the goods which have alternatives. However, the goods which are inelastic are necessity goods. Perfect. Now, coming up to the next topic in this, let's understand with the help of a linear demand curve. Linear demand curve. So I'm taking an example, linear demand curve, which is Q is equals to A minus BP. So I'll draw the diagram later on. Let's understand the elasticity of demand for this, which is del Q by del P into P on Q, right? I've just rearranged these terms, del Q on del P into P on Q. Now this is comes up as, what is del Q? This Okay, what is Q? Del Q. Okay, what is del Q over here? If there's a change in the quantity, it will happen because of a minus B del P. Okay, it would come minus B del P upon del P, right, into P on Q. So del P cancel. It would be minus B into P upon Q. We can write it as IA minus BP. So it comes out as minus BP upon A minus BP. All right. Now, in this case, let's understand that with the help of a diagram. So since this is the linear demand curve, we have a straight line over here. And right now over here, we would say that this is Q. This is QX and this is Q is equals to A minus BP. All right. Q is equals to A minus BP. So here, if P is zero, then Q is A, correct? So if P is zero, it is A. And if Q is zero, because I'm just finding out the intercept, if Q is zero, we have P as A on P, correct? So it is A on P. Now, let's say I want to find out the A on to A by 2. I just want to find out the elasticity demand at this point also, which is A on 2, A by 2. So if Q is A on 2, A by 2, the midpoint, then P is just what is P? So it would be A on 2 is equals to A minus BP. So BP is equals to A minus A by 2, correct? So this is the first. this is A part, this is B part, this is C part. And in that case, P would be, this would be A by 2. This is A by 2B. So this point, by this mention that this is A by 2, and the y-intercept would be A by 2B. Now I have to find out the elasticity at these different points in term, right, on the graph. So at point A, when P is 0, Q is A, what is elasticity of demand? So at point A, when P is 0, Q is A, our elasticity of demand would be del Q by del P into P on Q. So if Q is A, this is Q is A, okay? Del Q by del P, del Q by del P, what is del Q by del P? We have P is 0. If P is 0, this whole term will come out as 0. We don't need to do anything else. Next is Q is 0 and P is, what is P? P is A by B. All right. And elasticity of demand in that case, if anything divides by 0, it comes out as infinity, right? So next also, we will see that C scenario where the Q is A by 2, A on 2. Then in that case, P is A on 2B. In that case, ED is del Q by del P into P on Q, which is equal to, okay, just find out over here, del Q into P on Q. P is A by 2B upon A on 2, right? Uh, it is equals to del Q upon del P into 1 on B, correct? And what is del Q and del P? Okay, so del P is remain same, but del Q is, we have find out what is del Q. Del Q is minus V del P, correct? Minus V del P. So it would be minus 1. Minus B del P, del P cancel, and it turns out minus 1 because B also cancelled out. So it comes out as elasticity of demand would be 1. The absolute value of elasticity of demand is 1. So let's see with the help of an example. In that case, A, we have elasticity of demand as 0. When price is 0, right, the elasticity of demand is 0. How do we interpret that? It means that if the price is if the price is 0, what does it mean? It means that the change in, in that case, the consumer can consume, what is 0? 0 means that it is, for any change in the price, there's no change in the quantity demanded, correct? It means that if there is any change in any price, the quantity demand will not be impacted. That means it is inelastic. However, in the case of A on B, this is the second scenario where the quantity is 0, where it comes out elasticity of demand as infinity, which, what does it mean? I'm just talking about the absolute value. It means if there's a slight change in the price, the change in the quantity demanded will be much higher, will be infinite, right? So becomes a elastic, perfectly elastic, we would say. Perfectly inelastic, and this would be perfectly elastic. However, in this case, when there's a price is A on 2, A by 2, we see that the unit elastic, because here the demand curve is linear, right? So don't get confused. This is the case of a linear demand curve, right? So we will also understand the case when there's a demand curve is not linear, correct? So in this case, the the elasticity of demand, the absolute value is 1. All right. Now, hope this is clear to you. And this is how we can calculate. We can call it as unit elastic at this point, correct? Now, let's understand the another next part is constant elastic demand, elasticity demand curve. Okay, so as we know that we have seen in the different points that the elasticity varies from 0 to infinity. Correct? The absolute value of elasticity of demand is varies from 0 to infinity. However, now we will see the some cases where the elasticity of demand remains constant. Right? Here it changes from 0 to infinity at the same in the demand curve. Now let's say that of the elasticity will remain same throughout the demand curve. So case one, we see where the, let's say I just draw a curve where this, okay, and this is Q, okay. Now, what would be the elasticity of this? Let's find out. I don't know. So will you take the help of a formula? So what is del Q over here? Tell me. Del Q is, what is the change in the quantity demanded? What is change in the quantity demanded? Can we find out? And what is the change in price? The quantity is not changing. You can see the quantity is not changing. Only the price is changing. Whatever is there, like at this point also, the quantity is same. At this point also, the quantity is same. At this point also, the quantity is same. Why it is how it is happening? Can you recall? We have discussed something similar earlier. That there's a change in the price, but the quantity demand remains same. There's not much impact on the quantity demanded. In what scenarios? Yes, the scenario is when there's a necessity very highly inelastic. Highly, it's completely we would call it perfectly inelastic. What do we call? Perfectly inelastic. So del Q is zero over here because there's no change in quantity demanded with a change in price. Say, let's say if I move from 10 to 20, there's no change in quantity, right? So in this case, this is the perfectly inelastic demand curve we formed, right? Now let's take another example where the demand curve looks like this, horizontal demand curve. All right. So this is quantity of X, this is price of X, this is, right. So this is, what do we call this? Now, elasticity of demand over here is del Q by del P upon P into P on Q. Del Q. What is del Q? Over here, del Q is infinite. Can you see that there is no change in the price? Only the, like, with the, or I would say a slight change in price, the quantity demanded would be infinite. The impact on the quantity demanded would be very high. Slight change and the price, the quantity demanded would be like, if price increases by very much high, slight a very small change in the price, the impact on quantity demanded will be very high. If there's an increase in price, the quantity demand would be zero. Would be correct. You can see that. So it's a perfectly elastic. So basically, there's a change, the infinite change in the quantity demanded with the small change in very small, very del P is very small. What is del P is very small, right? So it would turn out as infinite. That means it's a perfectly elastic demand curve. All right. You can also very similar, you can also understand or remember a shortcut. I can tell you that the line, you can see this. If you draw this, you can say inelastic, it becomes an I, right? Inelastic demand curve. Basically, it is an I. So inelastic demand, I for inelastic. And here you can become 3E. So it is an elastic demand curve. So obviously this is not the way to learn this. You first understand this with the help of a formula and with the logically understand it logically, right? That is more important right now. So next, consider the third case, which is the case of constant elasticity demand curve is this. Here, right? So here is there, we can say that any change in the, I'll just make it, draw it again. Right. So any change in the price, what happened? What is happening over here? What is happening? This the percentage, like let's say P1 and at Q1, right? This is P2 and this is Q2. This is P3 and this is Q3. So the del P on del Q on del P is same as del Q1 on del P1 is same as, or percentage change in the quantity demanded at this point is same as the percentage change in quantity demanded upon percentage change in the price. So what is happening over is that percentage change in the quantity demanded is same as the percentage change in price at all levels of demand curve. So which is 1, right? What does it mean that del P, okay, del Q. What is del Q? This is del Q upon del P into P on Q. It is 1. Basically, the absolute value, it is 1 at all levels. Okay. So if there is a, let's say, 10% increase in the price of bananas, it lead to the 10% fall in the quantity demanded of the bananas. Understood? That is only something happened in our previous case, that we take the example of bananas. Yes, here it is. So how much percentage change in the price of bananas? It is how much? 20%, correct? So 20% increase in the bananas. So basically 20% increase in bananas lead to 20% decline in the quantity demanded of bananas. So that's why it is the unit elastic. The absolute value of the ET is 1. That means it's a unit elastic demand curve. The bananas has unit elastic demand curve. All right, understood? Now, let's move forward and let's understand the elasticity with the help and the elasticity, the relation between the elasticity and the expenditure. Okay, so elasticity and the expenditure. So as you know, we know that with the change in the price, the quantity demanded, there's a change in the quantity demanded. Also, we see that the impact is different of the price change is different on the quantity demanded, right? So if there's a 1% change in price in one of the commodities, maybe in one of the commodities, in one good, it leads to 2% decrease in quantity demanded of good one. However, the same 1% change in price in second good, maybe it lead to 0.5% fall in quantity demanded of that good. Similarly, it can also the case the case can come as 1% change in the price of in third good, right? This is the third good. It led to the 1% decrease in the quantity demanded, right? So there can be multiple cases, as we can see. Now we will see that what will impact this, how much this will be impacted, how much this will impact the expenditure part also, correct? So expenditure, we call it as, what is expenditure? It is the P into Q, correct? Now, what is the change in the expenditure? With the change in the prices and change in quantity, what is the change in expenditure? It is del P, right? So basically P plus del P, the change in the price, into Q plus del Q. Understood? So let's say, with the help of an example, right? Or we would say, um, just example, you can say that if the price, so we want to see what would happen with the change in expenditure if the price increases. Let's say price increases, and will that impact the expenditure? Definitely, because this part will increase. However, this part will fall. Now we want to see if there is any like change in what scenarios the expenditure will, there will be rise in expenditure, and what scenarios there will be fall in expenditure, right? For example, let's say I'm just giving a very small simple example to understand, to make you understand. Let's say P is 10 earlier and Q is 5. Okay, in that case PQ is 50. Now P dash is 8. In that case, Q is 7. What would happen to PQ? It is 56. Now, in this case, the PQ has increased. However, if I take another example, let's say P double dash is 8, but Q is, let's say this has decreased by 20%, and it has increased by 20%, it comes as 6. So in that case, PQ is, no, it won't turn out to be. It would be 20% fall, and okay, 10, all right. So, okay, in this case also it is 48. So basically in this case, expenditure has even reduced. When there's a change, fall in the price, in both the cases, the price has fallen. But in one scenario, the price expenditure has increased. Another scenario, the expenditure has fallen, right? So let's understand in what scenario. So I've just drawn a table, just taken this table from a textbook only, and let's see. Okay, what would happen? I'll just change the color of this. Fine. So let's take what would happen if there's an increase in the price, right? And what would happen? The quantity demand would be fall. Let's say the price percentage changes in the price is 10%. However, the percentage change in the quantity demanded is 8%. The it is a fall of 8%. What is the impact on expenditure? It is the, how much it would impact? Tell me. The 10%, the price is more. The change in the price is more, but the percentage change in quantity is less. The impact on expenditure will be high, right? What does it mean? It means that the impact on quantity demanded is higher. Is it higher? No, it is not higher. So it is price inelastic. Because with the change in the price, the consumer is demanding the is not reducing much of its consumption of that good. That means the good is kind of a necessary good, right? Similarly, now take another example. If there's a change in the price, and we know that the quantity demanded would fall, there's an increase in price, the quantity demand will fall. And let's say if there's a percentage change in 12, there's a 10% increase in price and minus 12% fall in the quantity demanded. Correct. Now tell me, what would happen? What would happen? Tell me. Just this is the homework that you can do on your own also. Um, just put down the values over here, correct? And then see if I have this del P and del Q. So 10, basically it is PQ plus P del Q plus Q del P plus del P del Q. All right. So we want to understand that, okay, because we want to understand the change in the expenditure. So basically the new expenditure, this would be, I'll just change the color. Just change it. This is the new expenditure, right? This would be new expenditure. However, the change in expenditure would be this entire expression minus PQ, correct? So what do we get in the end? I'm just writing it directly. It is P del Q plus Q del P plus del P del Q, correct? Why? Because PQ gets cancelled. Now, we want to understand that if there is a change in the price, increase in the price, and how much increase in the price, we can see 10% increase in the price and 12% fall in the quantity. So 10% over here and 12% fall in this here. Similarly, 10% increase, 12% fall. So we would see that in general. I'm right now, this is a homework for you. Just try, do it, and let me know in the comments if you find any difficulty and what do you get? That is, what result did you get? Okay. So 10% increase in price, however, the 12% fall. So the consumer, the demand is said to be more elastic, right? The impact is more. So in that case, the impact on expenditure would be less. Correct? Now, it would be called, we call it price elastic, just like the case of a jewelry or a luxury goods. Let's say there's an increase in price and less decrease in quantity demanded, and 10% increase in price and 10% fall in the quantity. It would be the impact on expenditure would be there will be no change, and we call it unit elastic. As we see, why do we see? Because elasticity of demand in that case 10 upon 10 is 1. Right. And if we put these values over here, the minus, we would say that there is whatever percentage of amount, 10% has increased, right? So let's say uh, earlier the price has increased by 10 to 12. Now the quantity has, if the price has increased to 20%, the quantity demanded has fallen by 20%. That is 6.4. So if we multiplied the both, we got 80 only. Earlier also the expenditure is 80, now also 80. So it would the price elasticity of demand would be unit elastic. Similarly, this is a homework for you to consider that if there is a fall in the price and the quantity demanded would increase, just write down the three scenarios, the remaining three scenarios similar to the above, and tell me what is the impact on expenditure in the rest of the three cases where there is a decrease in the price. Here, there is a decrease in price. And here it is increase in price. All right. Now, I guess that's all for this video. And Let me know if you have any doubt, and we will continue with our next topic, next chapter in our next video. And so, till then, take care, bye bye, and let me know if you have any doubts or what do you see. Like, if you let me know the answers also for this, for these three scenarios, right? Where there's a decrease in the price. So, till then, bye bye, take care.